You ever notice how easy it is to break down everybody else's flaws? But when it comes to your own, you go quiet. You blame your childhood, your parents, or you just change the subject. Folks will sit for hours listing what they want in a partner like they building some custom car or something like that. Talking about they want loyalty, a healed person, consistent, driven, emotionally intelligent, financially stable, good in bed, romantic, great communicator, no drama, even they'll even say no kids. The list gets longer every single year, but here's the question. The real question that nobody really wants to sit with. Let me ask you, if all those qualities were actually sitting inside one real person, would that person even want to be with you as you are right now? Not the future version of yourself, not the once I get my life together version, but the person you bring into relationships today. And you might say yes out of pride, or you just delusional. But if you slow down enough and replay how you move in love, the answer might feel very different. Think about the way you argue all the time, how you catch moves, how you shut down, stay holding grudges, being petty, how you expect people to read your mind. You bring in old wounds and pain into new situations. Now imagine dating someone who does everything you do. Imagine being on the receiving end of your moods and your problems, those habits and how you cope with stress. Would you stay or would you start backing away after a few months, let alone after 2 dates? That's not a judgment question, though. That's an honesty question that we all need to be honest with ourselves. Most people see themselves as the prize because they judge themselves by intention, not by impact. You tell yourself you're a good person and you mean well, and it's because you've been through a lot. You're loyal when you really care. You don't play games for real, for real. Meanwhile, the people who deal with you are experiencing something very different. They see the hangups. You don't think you need to fix. They get to go through the attitude you call, this is just how I am. They experience the emotional distance you blame on your past. Now, do you think that you can have a good heart and still be hard to love? How about you attractive, but you still drain the whole room emotionally? Can you be intelligent? Imagine, can you be intelligent and still be emotionally immature, like when it comes to communication and relationships? Now, take that emotional checklist, right? You want someone fit and in shape, but you don't respect your own body. You eat anything and you make excuses. You say that you can only be with someone who has money, but you have no money and you're struggling. Then you say they have to be emotionally healed, yet you are very childish and you walk into every new connection suspicious because of what your ex did, the ex that they don't even know of and never met. That's been years ago. You say you need communication, then when somebody actually tries to talk to you, you shut down. You change the subject or you weaponize silence, trying to not talk to them and make them hurt and feel pain, trying to show them what's up. See, that's not standards. That's imbalance. That's like a total imbalance. And it's not fair. That's fucked up. The energy you say you want and the energy you bring do not line up together. People hide behind the phrase, I know my worth, like it's a shield or something. Knowing your worth is important though, for real, for real. But someone would use that line to avoid looking at their own behavior. Like real self-worth, that real self-worth says, I know what I deserve. And I'm willing to grow so I can also be good for the person I'm asking for. But the ego, that says, I'm fine the way I am. They just need to be better than me. And I deserve someone better. Imagine that. Look what they get, though. And look what their standards are. They'll take someone who's all fucked up, but you won't. See, one builds a relationship. That other mentality ruins it before it even starts. And you may not like hearing that, but a lot of folks aren't blocked from love. They're not blocked from love because they're too good. They're being blocked from finding love because they're too unwilling to grow. Think about your emotional resume, not the image you post, none of that, not the good stuff, not Not the quotes that you share, but the way you actually move, who you actually are in private, because a lot of people are confident when they get behind closed doors, they just this other person besides the public view. Let me ask, are you reliable or do you only show up when you're lonely? Do you follow through on what you say? Do you handle your business, keep your word, or do you apologize for the same thing every few weeks? Do you listen? Like, do you listen to what they're saying to understand them? Or do you wait for your turn so you could defend yourself? Because you need to defend yourself like it's important. It's not, because you want somebody. They are important. And when someone tells you they're hurt, do you take in or do you get defensive? Do you say, I feel that, I respect you, what you feel, or well, you didn't think about me. You just flip it back on them. That pattern shows up more than any cute caption ever will. Your bad patterns. You say you're loyal and maybe you don't cheat physically. Good for you. But loyalty is more than not sleeping with someone else. I'd rather you sleep with 100 people than be all bad to me all the time. It's about whether your partner feels emotionally safe with you, whether they can be vulnerable without you throwing it back in their face. Especially when an argument comes up, you bring it up and just shit on them for something they were just trying to confide in you. Can you count on you to show up on the days when love isn't fun? Here's another piece most people ignore. It's not enough to be desirable. Plenty of people can get attention. They can. It's not hard to get a DM from somebody or a compliment, a date even, a look across the room. You can stare at somebody until they feel something. Attention is cheap. The real question is whether you're pleasant to be with. Can you be someone that they can build a life with? If people consistently leave your life feeling drained, confused, or running away like they were always trying to prove something to you, that's all bad. That's worth looking at. Pay attention. It might not be that no one can handle you. It might not be that. It might be that being around you requires emotional work you haven't done for yourself yet. Being a catch is not about being complicated and hard to access. Nobody wants that. They don't want it harder than it have to be. It's about being solid enough that your presence feels like peace more than it feels like pressure. When you finally sit down and ask, would I want to be with me if I had to choose the option? Things start shifting. That question is not there to beat you up. It's there to wake you up. You start noticing the little habits you used to overlook, like how quick you are to assume the worst, how you expect your partner just to know what's wrong with you without saying anything. They just should know. You don't know what's wrong with them, but they should know what's wrong with you because that's your perfect life. You think things should be perfect because you're delusional. You catch the sarcasm, the passive-aggressive comments. You are psychic on that, but you can't tell what's wrong with them. You got the tendency to overreact. You notice where to shut down instead of explaining, where you punish with silence instead of expressing disappointment and communicating. You expect effort you don't even consistently give. And once you see it, you only have two choices. You either get defensive or you pretend everyone else is the problem. That's the only options you ever show. That's who you are. You all bad. You don't want to grow. Growth means becoming a different person. It means becoming more honest with the version of yourself, the honest part of who you are. You start being real about your triggers, your fears, and your patterns. You admit that maybe you haven't always been easy to love. Admitting that some of the people you call toxic, they were just reacting to your inconsistencies. They were reacting to your personalities, and you called them toxic. You never address none of that. And when you do that, you don't lose power. You don't. When you be honest, you gain control. You start feeling like love is something that just happens to you, and you start seeing it where you've been shaping it without even realizing it. You've been creating the loving situation. And the beautiful thing about this kind of self-check is that it quietly shifts your standards too. When you raise your own behavior, your tolerance for nonsense drops naturally. You stop asking for perfection because you know you're not perfect. You also stop entertaining people who refuse to grow. You don't want none of that. You're not looking for someone to complete you or rescue you anymore. You're done with that. You are now looking for someone to walk beside you, someone who's also asking themselves the hard questions because they don't just want to be chosen, but they want to be better for the person they choose. That's what becoming high value really looks like. It's not loud or flashy, but those quiet habits and owning your mistakes, that's what it's about. It's about being willing to apologize without explaining it away. It's learning how to argue without trying to destroy the other person. Like these words been in your head and your heart the whole time. Now you mad, you letting them out. Now when you come down, we cool again. That's crazy. It's showing up on the regular days, not just when things feel romantic. It's taking responsibility for your emotional status instead of making people pay for what your past did to you. That's the kind of energy that makes healed, grounded people actually want to stay with you. If you want a practical way to feel where you really are, to understand, try this. Take some time by yourself and write out everything you say you want in a partner, not just the cute stuff. Go deep. Maybe you want someone patient, financially responsible, emotionally intelligent, affectionate. You know what I mean? Communication, all that good stuff. Even when it's uncomfortable. They loyal in public and private, supportive of your goals, respectful in conflict. Put it all down, write it all down, then go line by line and circle the qualities you already live out consistently. Not sometimes, consistently. Whatever you can't circle, that's your growth plan. That's what you work on. And that's because you want to give what you're asking to receive. At least let it be fair. Let it be a fair exchange. Fair exchange is no robbery. You don't need to become perfect before you deserve love. I ain't saying that. But don't expect the most because that's why you keep losing. It's not a fair exchange. So let's say you go to the Rolls Royce dealer and you only have $50,000 and they say Rolls Royces are worth this much. You confused why they won't give it to you. But you know that you don't have enough. That's the same thing as what you're offering and what you're expecting. You're expecting the Rolls Royce, you offering a Honda Civic. And you got it twisted every single time and it's not working out because you think stuff is freely given. But that's not the point. You do, however, owe it to yourself to stop demanding what you're not working on. You don't have to. If you want honesty, become someone who tells the truth. Even when your ego is on the line, tell the truth. If you want stability, become someone who doesn't run at the first sign of discomfort. Stay there, handle it, thug it out. If you want loyalty, become the person who doesn't flirt with disrespect because you're bored. When your behavior lines up with your standards, you stop needing the speeches about what you bring to the table. The right person will feel it, they'll know it. The wrong person will be uncomfortable, they'll run away. But either way, you stay in integrity. So sit with the question instead of dodging it. Would you want to be with you? Would you feel seen, heard, appreciated, safe with someone who moves like you, who thinks like you? Imagine. Would you feel like you could grow or you have to shrink for them to not fight you? You know what I mean? You got to just kind of fit in and so they don't trip out all the time. Would you want to be with you? If your answer isn't where you want to be, at least yet, still, that's not a reason to beat yourself up. That's not what I'm saying. That's your invitation to upgrade your habits, your communication and self-control to become better all the way around. Upgrade the way you love and how you apologize, the way you handle conflict. All that's dope. Get better. Upgrade the way you show up for yourself without expecting another person to fix what you refuse to touch. And at the end of the day, the most powerful thing you could do for you and your future relationship is become the kind of person your future partner will actually be grateful to love. Not perfect or flawless. I ain't saying that. Nobody is. Just self-aware, accountable, and willing to grow when they don't know something. And when you get there, you won't have to convince anyone that you're a catch. You won't even have to say it. You'll know it. They'll feel it. The connection will reflect it. It will be real, and it'll be worth it. Get better. It's worth it. Stop being a punk.